Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the previous tutorial, we have implemented the authentication feature under Pocket Goods, File, Package, let's call it Wishlist Feature. Try to make it under Pocket Goods, add it to Pocket Goods and hit Create. As usual, we have to specify the platform, iOS 15. As dependencies, we need Core App and Core UI, and let's add those dependencies to the target and save the file. And the repository, let's create a file. It's going to be for the protocol wishlist repository. The first function that we have to define is toggle wishlist. It's going to be an async function and it's going to give us an integer, basically -1 if the item is deleted, otherwise the inserted wishlist item. And another function that's going to give us the publisher or the stream of data of the current user wishlist. As usual, we have to define the use cases. Let's create the toggle wishlist use case. As parameters, we need the user ID as well as the product ID. For the return type is integer and it is an async function and it can throw an exception. If we got the repository from the dependency injection, we're gonna use it, otherwise we're going to throw an API error of type missing dependencies. Next, we're going to return repository.toggleWishlist. Now let's define the other use case, which is get entire wishlist use case. If we have the value of the repository, we will return repository and call get entire wishlist. Otherwise, we're going to erase to the publisher a value of type API error. Let's do, for example, missing dependencies. Now let's group all the use cases under one structure. Let's call it wishlist use cases. Next, we have to implement the repository. As usual, we need to interact with the API service as well as the database. And in order to access the GWT token, we need the crypto service. Now let's implement the first function, toggle wishlist. We're going to make sure, first of all, that we have the needed dependencies, API service, database, and crypto service. Otherwise, we need to throw an API error of type missing dependencies. It's going to be like an early return. Now we have the dependencies. We can basically interact with the private routes under Laravel by providing the correct token. Let's run this block with do catch. First of all, we need to make sure that we have an active session. I have explained this before. Basically, just we are simulating here under this application, this session, which is we have the authenticated user under our database. And we can observe the changes of this authenticated user under our database in real time by GRDB library. And we have created a stream for this. Now we're just going to get right now the snapshot for this authenticated user under our cache. Let's get the related token, load token from keychain. Other condition is this token shouldn't be empty. If we got this, we're going to proceed. Otherwise, let's throw an API error of type no data. It doesn't mean that the token is valid, but we are going to access the private route under our API by providing this token. And for the API to decide whether to continue or to give an error. Now we can do the API call by doing, let's start under response. We need to pass the ID of the product as well as the return type. And we have to pass the beer token. We can distinguish between two cases. If the wishlist item ID equal -1, we're going to delete the item from the user wishlist under the cache. Otherwise, we're going to add this particular item. Therefore, we have to do response and wishlist item ID equal -1 and the other case. In this particular case, we're going to do database and we have to delete basically the item. The table is from constant wishlist table. We need to look for, we have here two criteria. The first one, which is the ID of the product. And the second one for the user ID. Now we have deleted basically this particular item from the cache. It's going to be reflected in real time to the user in the UI. Right now, we need to add this particular item to the database. If the product from the response is not null, to cache the products in order for the relationship to work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Therefore, we have to cache the products first and to insert the wishlist item. We have done this earlier, so I'm going just to copy the same thing that we have done earlier. I'm going to paste it here. and I'm gonna fold this section. At the end, we're going to return the same response from the API, which is wishlist item ID, regardless if it is -1 or the inserted wishlist item ID. And for the error, we're going just to throw here the error. It's safe to say that there is no need actually to do try catch. Therefore, I'm going to copy the whole thing. Anyway, the function is going to throw an error, so there is no need actually to handle anything under the catch section. One last function to implement, which is get entire wishlist. For the get entire wishlist, as usual, we're going to check if we have the instance of the API service, database, and crypto. If we don't have those services, we're going to raise to the publisher an API error of type missing dependencies. In this function, we have to use do catch because under the catch section, we need to raise to the publisher an error. Therefore, we have to use here catch. Let's focus on this particular block. What we have to do here is we need to get the cached user. And again, just to simulate basically the session, we need to access the snapshot of this current authenticated user and get the token. And basically, the token should not be empty. Otherwise, we need to raise to any publisher an error. This particular function should give us a resource. Therefore, we need to distinguish between the loading state as well as the success or error state. For the loading state, as a good user experience to the user, the old cache while waiting for the new cache to come from the API call. And in the presentation layer, we can present this instead of using the circular progress indicator. You can use the same structure or the same layout, the wishlist screen, but providing the old cache, and the user is not going to notice the changes, only the new data. If the price changes, for example, or the admin has changed something in the products or changed the entire data or media for that particular product. Now we have the loading state. What we have to do here, we need to set the failure for this because this is very important. It has to be of type API error. Now our loading state is ready. We're going to make our API call. The return type is an array of wishlist item DTOs, and we have to pass the bearer token. Now we have the list. We're going just to refresh the data of the user. We're going to loop over the list, and we have the wishlist item. We're going to insert the products, followed by the media, and at the end, we're going to insert the wishlist item. Basically, I'm going just to copy the same thing that we have done under authentication feature. I'm gonna use it here. I'm going to fold this particular section. Underneath, I'm going to prepare the success state. Basically, we're going to serve the same stream of data in order to observe the changes of the user data, which is very important. We can do try and database. We have implemented this stream data, which is good. And we can use cached user and ID. I'm going to call here compact map. By doing compact map, it's going to return only the non-null value. So there is no null values here. Now the stream has no null values. We can do map, and we have here the user and success. Let's pass the data, user and wishlist. Next, we have to set the failure type to API error and self. Finally, we can merge the two values, loading and success, by doing publishers, merge, loading and success, and erase to any publisher. If we have an error, return fail, and basically the API error, and pass the error as an argument. And we can erase to any publisher. And we are done basically implementing the function get entire wishlist. Now let's define the DI module. First of all, we need to provide the implementation of the wishlist repository implementation and the use cases. Now we have to define the public function that's going to install for us or to register those dependencies. And we have seen that in the other sections of our tutorial. It's time for testing. We need again the memory database, the crypto service, and we are dealing with publishers. Therefore, we have to store them under constables and the use cases that we're going to test. Let's provide the needed dependencies under the setup function. And we have to add here for the cleanup purposes, if you do remember under the Kotlin application, we need to keep track of the changes of the wishlist item or the mock wishlist under our mock data. Therefore, after each test, we need to clean up basically the test and reassign the value of the list to the initial state, which is the list that has all the products. Therefore, going to override the function tear down with error. In this case, we're going to do wishlist mock state and current wishlist equal, let's initialize the data by doing mock data, user DTO, and wishlist. Every time we're going to finish the test, we're going to initialize basically the data of the current wishlist and the wishlist mock state. This step is very important, otherwise the tests are going to collide with each other. Therefore, it's going to create an undesired results and the test is going to fail if you try to run all tests at once. Now let's implement the first step, which is toggle wishlist should remove products from user wishlist. Let's arrange the products ID and let's seed some data to the database. Next, we need to arrange the cached user. Else, we're going to fail with the same. Let's arrange the mock token by doing crypto service and save token to keychain, mock data, and token. Now let's get the use cases. If we have the use cases, we're going to proceed. Otherwise, we're going to say, for example, failed tests, missing use cases. Just to make sure that we have the correct products ID under the wishlist, we're going to do here a simple assertion. Cached user and wishlist contains the products ID that we have arranged right here. $ and products ID equal products ID. Now we need to act by calling the use case toggle wishlist. I'm going to store the result and the response because I want to check if it is -1 or another value, the user ID and the products ID, which is products ID. For the assertion is very simple. We're going to assert that this response has -1 as a result. Now the data of the cached user has changed. I need to get another snapshot of the user data, else user is not found or something like this. Now we have the new cached user data. We need to check if the product is still in wishlist. Let's store it under is in wishlist equal new cached user data. Wishlist contains $ for the first parameter products ID equal products ID. And we need to make sure that this value is in wishlist is false. Let's go ahead and run the test. As usual, switch to the wishlist feature. Check on this one, and I'm gonna run the test. And the test succeeded. Very good. Now we need to make sure that the toggle wishlist should add product to user wishlist. I'm gonna proceed basically with the same manner. Let's arrange the products ID and insert some data to the database. Now we have the use cases ready. Now we're going just to repeat the same steps that we have done earlier. We're going to remove the sunglasses from the database and to add this to the database. Nothing new. Now we need to call the use case toggle wishlist. I have assigned response as a variable, therefore I'm going to do response equal try await and toggle wishlist. Next, we need to make sure that the response matches the inserted wishlist item ID from the mock data. Next, we need to get another snapshot for the final result or the final cached user data. Now we have the final cached user data. We need to make the assertion, basically to make sure that this product is in wishlist. Equal final cached user wishlist contains $ for the first argument and the product ID equal product ID. Now for the assertion, we're going to make sure that this value is true by doing xct assert true is in wishlist. Let's go ahead and run the test. And the test succeeded. Now we need to make sure that the toggle wishlist should throw an error when the user is not authenticated. This is very important because we need to make sure that no one can get the user wishlist if it's not authenticated. It's very easy actually to simulate this scenario. All we have to do is to provide an empty token. Let's try to insert some data to the database. let's use the normal assertion of asserting that we have the cached user. Likewise for the use case, now we have to act toggle wishlist. Now, if we are able to get to this particular section of code, which means that we are able to toggle the products from wishlist on and off. Therefore, I'm going to fail the test. In here, we have to make sure that we have an error. Therefore, I'm gonna assert equal error of type no data. Cast let's error as API error. Let's go ahead and run a test. Which means that the user will never be allowed to toggle the item from wishlist on and off if it's not authenticated. One last test case to go. You're just going to make sure that the get entire wishlist should get the entire user wishlist with the related images. Let's insert some data to the database. Next, we need the crypto service. Let's save the correct token using the mock crypto service. And because we are dealing with publishers, let's set the expectation. And let's add here the use cases. Let's arrange the product to test with. And we have to act by doing await use cases, get entire wishlist. We have to call sync. Under the completion, we're just gonna make sure whenever we have an error, basically we need to fail the test. Now, in case we have some data to serve, now in case of loading states, we need to make sure that we have something to serve under the old cache, not null, and data. It doesn't matter actually if it matches the mock data or not. Now, if the data is not null, we need to make sure that the list is not empty, and we need to make sure that the product's ID, this next assertion is optional, if you will, but I just want to make sure that we have the product detail as well as the images. I'm going to loop over data. We have to make sure that this particular product is in the wish list. In this case, I want to make sure that the product detail is not null and the list of images is not null. Basically, we have some images under the product detail. Item and product detail. And because it's not null from the previous assertion, we can use this operator and do media and is empty. Now this is only under the loading state. Underneath, let's let's test the other case, which is success state. With the same manner, I'm gonna assert that data is not null. Next, we need to make sure that this list is not empty. And with the same manner that we have done here, for the product's ID that matches the product sunglasses, we need to make sure that the product detail is not null and the images are not empty. And if we are under success state, we have to fulfill the expectation. For the other cases, we're not interested. Therefore, I'm going to do here defaults and break. Underneath, I'm going to do here store cancellables. Let's wait for the fulfillment of the array of expectation. Let's go ahead and run this test. And the test succeeded. To make sure that there is no interference, let's run all tests. And all tests succeeded, which is good. And that's pretty much it for today's video. For the next tutorial, we're going to implement the presentation layer under the wishlist feature. I hope you have learned something new. See you in the next one and happy coding.